My mom, Huda Yusuf, immigrated from Somalia when she was 12. She moved because there was a civil war going on in her country. I always love to hear about Somalia because I love learning about my culture. I like to thank her for being involved in our school.
I am connected to the Brimhall community. I have my 11-year-old in 5th grade here, Jamal Farah.
Oh, I know who that is.
Yeah, Jamal is my kid. Yeah.
Where in Somalia were you born?
I was born in Mogadishu, the capital.
Oh, okay.
What was your day-to-day life like in Somalia?
So I was there till I was about 8, so it was a lot of fun. My grandpa had a huge house that we always played at, so when my mom was at a stay-at-home mom, but my dad was a teacher, so when we didn't go to school, my mom would always go to like her dad's place and like we would hang out, and he had like a garden, and he had like a chef that would cook for us, and he had a library that we would like read books and things like that, so it was very, very exciting. And then when we went to school in the morning, school was there was only went to school for 4 hours because there was like no recess or things like that because we had to be home and eat lunch, and then we had the afternoon to do our homework or take a nap. So yeah, and then in the evening was hang out with the family, have dinner. There was always people around. We were never really alone, and it was just a lot of family around, tons of family around.
Why did you immigrate to the U.S.?
Well, my story is a little interesting. So when we first immigrated, when we left Somalia because of the civil war in 1990, we went to kind of Kenya for a bit. We actually got asylum to Canada. So I was raised in Canada, in Ottawa, Ontario, the capital. Mm-hmm. So we lived there. I've lived there for since I was 11 till about I was 26. I went to middle school there, I went to high school there, undergrad and grad school, and then I met Jamal's dad, who is Somali American, and then we got married in 2004, and then he came back to the States. I stayed in Canada while I was doing my master's, and then it took about 2 years for me to get my green card, so then I moved here in 2006 when I got my green card. The reason I immigrated to the U.S. was because I got married.
Did you have any family in the U.S. before you came?
I had extended family, like cousins, aunts, and uncles, but all of my immediate family is in Canada. But then when we moved to Canada from Somalia, we had my mom's really, really close cousin from her dad's side, and then we had my really close cousin from my dad's side, and then they really helped us figure things out because my mom was 30 when she arrived to Canada with 5 kids, all under the age of 12. So our baby sister was 4, and I was the oldest, and I was 12. So she just needed a lot of help. None of us spoke any English, so she had very limited knowledge of English. So it was nice to have some extended family, but we stayed as a unit. So I'm the only one here right now. Like none of my siblings are here, none of my parents are here. But I just have extended family, but I don't have family here right now.
What was your journey like to the U.S.?
So it was an interesting one. So being in Canada, we became citizens right away. Immigrants are very welcomed in Canada, and we didn't feel like we were different, even though you always feel different a little bit. The States is a little different, is that there's a lot more nuances about race and religion, especially being Muslim and kind of growing up post 9/11. There's a lot of you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You get a lot of suspicion. Then especially I wear the hijab. Then, when people look at you, sometimes they underestimate you, or they think that you don't know how to speak the language, or they're like, oh my gosh, your English is so good. But what they don't realize is that I've been here since 11. And at the same time, like, this country has given me a lot of opportunities, and I know what it could be if everybody was just treated equally and nicely. So it was an interesting journey. Still navigating it, actually.
How did immigration affect you?
Quite a bit, actually. I never really thought about it before the new administration that's in power right now. I had a green card. I was a Canadian citizen. I could do everything the kind I wanted, and I wasn't sure if I become a U.S. citizen, if I would have to give up my Canadian citizenship, because I really didn't want to do that because my mom is sick and I want to make sure I can go visit her whenever I want. And then my friend was turned 40 in 2016 in January. So a couple of us went to the Dominican Republic to go celebrate her 40th, and her birthday is in January 23rd. So we went there from January 18 to January 26, 27, like 10 days. And we bought the tickets like 6 months in advance, not realizing and recognizing that there was going to be a administration change. So in the middle of our vacation, my brother texts me and he's like, "Are you back to the States?" And I was like, "No, I'm sitting on the beach," sending him a picture, reading my book. And then he was like, "The executive order to ban Muslims to enter the States has been leaked and it's going to come into effect while you're out there." He's like, "I suggest you get your behind to the States ASAP. Otherwise," because I'm Canadian, I'm not born Canadian, I'm born in Somalia, and Somalia is one of the 7 countries that were in the ban. So he wasn't recognizing the secondary citizenship. He was only recognizing in the first iteration of the ban, he was recognizing only where you were born. So I called our travel agent, and then she was like, "It'll be like $2,000 for you to fly today." And I was like, "I don't have $2,000 just to spend on that." So what we did is I just stayed on the vacation, but I just kept an eye on the news. We flew in on the Thursday of that week after the inauguration, and I flew into Boston because our ticket was through Boston, and the immigration agent was like, "You missed it by 10 hours," and he's like, "Otherwise I would have had to detain you." So that kind of put a little bit of fire under my belly to make sure that I become a U.S. citizen. And that process took over 2.5 years. I just became a citizen in April. And if it wasn't for my company, and if it wasn't for just me having the financial means to hire a lawyer and do all that stuff, it is a very difficult and convoluted process. So it's just, immigration is something that I think about all the time. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Before you came to the U.S., what did you expect the U.S.? Did you have like any expectation for the U.S.?
Yeah, well, you kind of like the U.S. does a great job of exporting their culture to the world through the music and the movies and the shows. Growing up, like one of my favorite shows was The Cosby Show. We all loved James Brown, and we listened to like all the Motown music, and we listened to a lot of Madonna, Michael Jackson. Like Michael Jackson was huge in Somalia. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Watch Sanford and Son?
Say what?
Sanford and Son?
Sanford's, yeah. So and then you look at the movies and you're like, everybody's having fun, everybody's doing well, and then you want to go to New York because there's a lot of like movies that are based there. So you have this amazing image of America where people are really awesome and nice and just happy-go-lucky. So you just think that you're gonna come here and work hard and build a new life. So it was a very positive image that we had of the U.S.
So what was it really like when you came? Was it kind of like your expectation, or was it different?
Part of it was in my expectations. I definitely did meet a lot of amazing people. I definitely do have opportunities that I would have not had if I was still back home. But what I didn't realize was the class structure and the caste system in a way, because America does have a caste system, even though we don't talk about it, and the nuances of I really didn't know I was black when I was in Africa because everybody looks like me and I'm just Somali and you get just treated. So to come here and to be called that I'm not black because I'm not African American and then I don't fit the culture of, you're kind of stuck in the middle, and there's a lot more nuances to navigate towards what are you fit in. And then when you're a first generation immigrant child, the community that you're born into, they want you to stick in that culture, but then the community that you're trying to assimilate to isn't accepting you. So it's kind of a mixed bags on how to do it. You become a bit jaded sometimes, but at the end of the day, you will still have to be hopeful and move things forward. So that's my journey.
What did you have to sacrifice when you immigrated?
Oh, I haven't been back. Oh.
We can skip that question.
If you want.
Yeah, you don't have to answer that.
Yeah. You don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
My grandpa died 3 years ago, and I didn't see him for like a long time. And I haven't seen my grandma in over 30 years. And I miss a lot of my cousins.
and you just miss not feeling different. Oh, sorry. I didn't know I was gonna get so emotional. It's hard being different. It's just hard being different, and it's hard to kind of always try your best and just never feel like you're good enough, and you walk around always feeling like you're not good enough. So you lose a piece of your humanity, because people just make so many assumptions about you, and all you're trying to do is just live and raise your kids and have a good job and try to pay the bills, but it's really hard sometimes. It's just hard to have so much hate on you all the time when you didn't do anything. So you don't know who to trust, you don't know where to go sometimes, but you can't always think of the negatives, so you just don't think about it. You don't think about, being in the States right now, and I'm the only one, and everybody's in Canada with work schedules and only getting like a couple of weeks off, and we're in the middle of Ramadan right now, and if I was back home, like, you wouldn't be alone, and you wouldn't feel lonely, and you would be around your family, and it can be lonely, so you sacrifice a lot. And I don't think people recognize the pain that we walk around with when you're always being doubted or just misunderstood. Yeah.
Well, that is the end of our questions. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you,
was really
guys.
interesting.
Thank you, guys. Good
Before we
job.
go,
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, what do you do for a living?
I work at Medtronic,
Sorry.
and I have a chemistry background. I went to undergrad in chemistry with a minor in mathematics, and then I went to grad school in nanophysical chemistry. So I've been working in the medical device world, so I help get the company their products approved in the market in the world. So I work with regulatory agencies, so that way we can have products on the market. So we do a lot of the pacemakers, that if people have heart attacks, and they can help them with the irregular heartbeats. I did other devices too, the stents. So I've been in the cardiovascular heart business for 13 years. So I focus a lot on the heart to make sure that people have what they need to live a healthy life and have a better quality of life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're fine.